All right, and then I'll go to this. Okay. All right, finally. Okay. Now, I wanted that started before I went through this. When we got home late yesterday, there was a message on the machine talking about a doctor's appointment for me Tuesday. We were gone 2 weeks, not 2 weeks, but 2 Tuesdays. No, only one Tuesday, but it didn't indicate whether it was the Tuesday we were gone or Tuesday coming up. I thought, I didn't remember that appointment, but everything was exactly like what I've got in my hand here. But this is for Tuesday, June the 5th. And I don't know why it said I had one for either last Tuesday or this Tuesday. It's the same doctor, same time, same everything. So I don't know now. I've got to find out, and that's what I was hoping to do in the 10 minutes between classes. I had to deal with this other student. So I lost that to do. I've got to find out whether we have class next Tuesday, because the class is at the appointment's at 11:40. And I have to be in for blood work at 10:40, which means I have to leave campus by 10 o'clock, which would wipe out this class completely. So that's either going to be this coming Tuesday or Tuesday, June 5th. And as soon as I found that out, I'll put that out there too. Now, if the class, and all along, I was thinking, well, the class isn't going to make. I had 3 students in it. They're not going to let it make. So I wasn't worrying about it until I came in this morning and had 6 students. I went, oh, now I worry. So I can't tell you whether we're going to meet Tuesday or not. As soon as I find out, I'll put a thing on Blackboard. If you don't see anything on Blackboard, assume we're going to meet Tuesday. Okay, that's what all that was about. And I can't change the appointment. I have a mild form of leukemia, and I'm undergoing treatment for it. It's a very mild treatment too. But the hematologist only sees patients on Tuesday mornings. No other day of the week does he see patients. So I'm stuck on Tuesday morning, so I can't. I could change it and mess up my 8 o'clock class, but I thought this was the better time because I didn't think that this class was going to make. So anyway, I'll let you know if we aren't going to have class on Tuesday if they move my appointment for some reason without telling me, except the phone message. Okay, that done. Then I still got a couple of other things to do. The first of which is this. Like I said, I wasn't expecting the class to have made, so I do not have the syllabus updated. I just found out this morning there were 6 people in it. Every time, yesterday was the whole day in travel. We got up at 3:30 in Edinburgh, Scotland, and caught the flight to Amsterdam, had a layover there in Amsterdam, then flew to Atlanta, and then had a layover there and flew to Birmingham. So I didn't have time to check anything yesterday. And then today, this morning, all these people are here. So here is the syllabus that I used last fall, okay? And don't worry about the mini term, that has nothing to do with it. I'll tell you, the bulk of this is completely still the same. I'll tell you the parts that are not, okay? First, of course, it's summer 2018, and it'll be through all term long, not just for a mini term. It is MTH237 Linear Algebra, 3-hour course. Okay, so we'll be meeting close to 4 hours a week because it's 10-week rather than 16-week term. Okay, for summer. Now we'll be meeting on Tuesday and Thursday, 10 to 11:50. Okay, so the time, of course, is wrong. But in this room, this building, this campus. Okay, my name is still Charles Fowler, so that's correct. Now they have this contact policy that's a strange thing to say. My email. This is my email. And by the way, just about every employee of the college, this is true. First initial, last name at lawsonstate.edu. Now, of course, as you might guess, we have more than one S. Williams. Okay, so on those kinds of people, it might have two initials of the last name. And there are a couple of people, I only know one of them now, Mr. King, who teaches speech and English, who happens to want to have Calvin underline King rather than K King. I don't know why, but I guess it's his opportunity to do that. But most of us just stick with C-File at Austin. Now, since I've been out of the country for about 10 days, I am way behind on emails. So if any of you have emailed me anything and I haven't responded, that's it. Like I said, my wife said I could use her iPad, but it was slow. When we did have Wi-Fi, it was slow, and I'm slow, and we just didn't have a lot of time. And she was using it part of the time, so I couldn't say it was a lot of interference there. But if I missed you, sorry about that. It might take me a few weeks to sort of get caught up with it, so I may still be sort of slow for a while. In fact, I'm always pretty slow. Okay, my phone. This is my office phone here on the Bessemer campus, 929-3449. But for some reason, my voicemail is not reliable. Okay? And I don't know if you can tell that or not if you tried to leave a voicemail, but I'll be told I have a message and I never can find the message. So, and I've tried myself a time or two, and it'll say something about the voicemail, or else it'll do a weird noise and then something. So I don't know. I would say don't call me except when I'm in office hours, because I'm not able to hear my phone otherwise. Okay. So therefore, when you see what my schedule's like this summer, I'm not in the office very much, so very few chances you have to call. Now I have this number in here for a very small reason, but it is. On Fridays, I'm on the Birmingham campus. So tomorrow I'll be on the Birmingham campus. Next Friday on the Birmingham campus. But then the month of June, after next Friday, even though that's June 1st, in July, we don't have Friday. The school is closed on Fridays. We go to a 4-day, 10-hour-a-day work week. And then in August, we'll go back to 5-day, 8 hours. But you'll see my days are longer than that anyway. So it'll only be tomorrow, next Friday, and I'm not even sure about next Friday now that I think about it. I believe I have a treatment schedule for next Friday. So I may not even be there next Friday. But then whatever Fridays we have in August, which are only 1 or 2. So other than that, this number's no good. But it's 929-6409. Tomorrow, next Friday, if I'm there, I don't think I'll be there because I believe I have a treatment then. And I try to have treatments when it doesn't interfere with classes. They can be anytime. And then in August. But don't leave me a message on this number either, because that's not even my number, okay? On Fridays when I'm over there, they let me use the same office as a grant coordinator uses Monday through Thursday, because she's not there on Friday. So that's going to her voicemail, not mine. So don't leave me a message ever at that number, because I'll never hear it. Okay, and don't leave me one at this one, because there's a good chance. For some reason, it's just not working. Now, let me give you my office hours. I worked these out while I was there, and then over packing and stuff, it got all wrinkled up. Let me give you what I know my office hours are now. And some of this may be subject to change, but we'll see. Mondays and Wednesdays, my 8 o'clock. Okay. Do you want to do anything on the next one? Yeah, you can come over there.
Same office hours?
No, if you want to sit now, I'm talking about right now, and you can hear them. Okay, so just have a seat. That's just happened to be where I was in the syllabus. We're going to do this, so I know I won't. Okay. This is right what I was going to say. On Mondays and Wednesdays, well, I usually get on campus at 7:45 or before. Like this morning, it was more like 7:15. I'm not usually that early, but I try to make it before 7:45. I have 8 o'clock classes across the board, so it's only 15 minutes there in the boarding. But if you need to catch me, you can do it. So on Monday and Wednesdays, I have a Calculus 1 class at 8. But because that's a 4-hour course, 10-week term, It's 8 to 10:40, okay? And I have 20 minutes in between 10:40 and 11. And then I have a Calculus 2 class that starts at 11. It goes to 1:40, okay? I have another 20-minute period between 11:40 and 12. Now, here's the place where it gets a little uncertain. 12 o'clock, I'm scheduled for a physics class, but the last time I looked, which was this morning, it didn't have 10 students in it yet. Okay? Now, we're not going to cancel that one because we have two physics, trig-based physics and calculus-based physics. For calculus-based for science and engineering, and the other physics for people who don't need the calculus, that haven't had calculus. The physics is the same, it's just the math level. And we order books from the same company, the same authors, so this PowerPoints and stuff are very, very similar. And normally, fall and spring, we offer those stack classes, 201 and 213, 202 and 214, mechanics and electricity and magnetism. They're the same physics, it's just different math requirements. So we can stack them in together and do it. So we might have to stack the 202 because there's not 10 students in it. 214, I'm sure the sum of them is going to be more than 10, so we can probably still run the course. If we do that, then the odds are I will have from 12 o'clock until from 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock until it's 2 to 3:50 and 4 to 5:30. So I have from 2 to 5:30 free. Then at 6 o'clock, this class did make. What a joy. The Physics 201 has made, and that goes from 6 in the evening until 9:30 at night, I believe it is. 6 to 7:50 and 8 to 9:30. So if that physics doesn't fill today, which is a good chance it won't, then I'll probably have office hours from 2 to 5:30 on Mondays and Wednesdays. That's when I'm going to have to do all my grading, all my test making out, everything then. Because on Tuesday, Thursday, the differential equation class is 8 to 10:50, 9:50, and I've got a 10-minute break before this class. So if this class makes, then it'll be 10 to 11:50. And then at 12 o'clock, I have another 10-minute break there. I have a physical science class that begins from 12 to 1:50, and its lab goes from 2 to 3:30. And then I have a 30-minute break, except I have to drive to the Birmingham campus, and that takes almost 30 minutes. And I have a physics class over there that goes 4 to 5:30. It doesn't have a lab. So if this class makes, I'll have 10 minutes before the class, 10 minutes after class, and that's all I've got. So the best chance right now for office hours would be 2 to 5:30 on Monday and Wednesday. And nothing on Tuesday and Thursday except little 10 minutes. You can come in and start one just like we did today.
Thank you.
And then on Fridays, this Friday, I'll be on the Birmingham campus from 7:45 in the morning until sometime into the afternoon. That's tomorrow. But like I said, tonight I'm teaching until 5:30. So 7:45 to 5:30 is 9 3/4 hours. So it'll be 7:45 until something like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. I'll be there tomorrow. Probably be there longer, but I only have to be there filling out my 16 hours between yesterday and today and tomorrow. Okay. But then after the following Friday, it'll be just those four 10-hour days. Actually, some days will be longer than that. Monday, Wednesday will be a lot longer than 10 hours. From 7:45 in the morning until 9:30 in the evening. So my Tuesday, Thursdays may not be quite as, no, there's going to be till 5:30 tonight. I don't know. Anyway, we'll work it out somehow. So those are my office hours. Sorry that it's so confusing. And I'll wait until I figure out whether they're going to cancel that other class or not, or cancel this class or not, and then I'll move. But if I cancel this class, you don't need to know what my office hours are, except Lauren. She's in the other class as well. All right. Sorry about that. That was way too difficult. Friday's usually 7:45 to 11:45, but tomorrow will be longer because I was out first part of the week. Okay, course description. Now, this is not something I came up with or anyone here at the college came up with. This was something decided by a committee of the two-year college math folks and the state of Alabama public four-year colleges and universities got together, and they said, if we teach this, you get credit for it. And all of you are transfer students, so transient students. So this is what enables you to do it. This course introduces the basic theory of linear equations and matrices, real vector spaces, bases and dimension, linear transformations and matrices, determinants, eigenvalues and eigenvectors, inner product spaces, and the diagonalization of symmetric matrices. Additional topics may include quadratic forms and use of matrix methods to solve systems of linear differential equations. Never have I gotten that far in the course. All these topics here, that takes up the whole course. In fact, some of these we barely touch on, okay, but we do try to at least mention it. Prerequisites, Math 126 is Cal 2, everybody there? Okay, good. And no co-prerequisite. The text, and it says it's a required text, but it doesn't say what form you can do this required. Elementary Algebra, 7th edition by Ron Larson. It's a Brooks Cole Cengage text. And do any of you have this yet? Okay. Now, are you planning to buy a book, do an ebook, rent a book? What's your plans? Or have you made plans yet? You want to wait and see if the classmates or whatever. We're doing something different. I don't know if it's starting this summer or next fall. I know it's starting in the fall. It may have already started this summer. Cengage, which is not my favorite publisher, okay? This is the favorite I've reviewed, I'm guessing 7 or 8 linear algebra texts. This one came the closest to fitting this course description with not any extra, not having to pay for a lot of things we're not covering. There's some things in here we're not covering, but this is the most concise version. We covered this almost chapter by chapter, okay? That's all it. And also, Ron Larson is an author. He's about the only author in Cengage I really like. The others are fine. This guy is good. So, for 2 reasons, we went with Cengage. And here's what the college is doing now with Cengage. Cengage has come out with this program or package that if you pay so much a term, and it's something like $119 or some sort of weird number like that, you have access to every Cengage book made that the college uses for that term. Okay, now I don't know the form of that. My guess is an ebook. I don't see how they can afford it otherwise. I don't know if it's one term only or forever. I don't know that either. But you do have access to it. So before you buy the book, check at the bookstore, tell them it's a Cengage book, and see if they have that in play this summer. If they didn't have it in play in the spring, that's when we heard about it. So I don't know if it starts this summer or it starts next fall. If they do, I bet you this book off the shelf in the bookstore is going to be more than $190. Now, there is something that you can buy loosely for if you pay the $119 or whatever amount they decided on, and you have 5 courses, you probably don't, that all use this, you get them all for that price. Not each, that price. You get all the Cengage texts you're signed up for that term. This is probably the only one you'll have this summer, I'm guessing. Is that right? Is yours Cengage? Yep. So you can get 2 for that price. I mean, that price for as many courses as you're taking, which is Cengage. If any of you are doing physics, I think there's a Cengage book there too, okay? So you could get them all for that. But again, I don't know what form. But if you're doing it and you do want to buy it's a loose leaf paper version, they're a lot cheaper than what this is. $20, $40, something like that. So if you do like to have a book, least something you can not have to count on the computer for. Okay. So, check on the bookstore before you buy it. Okay. There's also leasing or renting. There's all sorts of options you have. But, okay, that's the text. Now, here's the other things you need. Graphic calculator. And by the way, trying to recall, seems like I saw a new version of this, and if we've gone to the 8th edition, then I've got to get a new one too. They'll know that in the bookstore as well. I've got to go find that out, because this is 2013, and they don't hang around very many years more than that, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's not gone up in an edition. Okay. Graphic calculator is not absolutely essential, but if you had Cal 2, you probably do have the graphic calculator, but if you don't, you can live without it in this course. Paper and pencils, we will be, you need both of those. Now, if you prefer ink, it's fine with me. Someone else came up with this template, and they put pencils in there. But I'll make a confession here. You'll see it soon enough. You already know, she's been in classes before. I tend to make mistakes when I do things like this, so I like to use pencils so I can erase and don't have blobs all over the page, but you can use whatever you want. Now this Blackboard paragraph, they do not allow us to change, and it's way out of date. All Austin State Community College students must be trained in Blackboard and use Blackboard daily to gain access to vital course information, such as the syllabus. I know you're going to read the syllabus every day, aren't you? Yes, I knew you would. Yeah, I'm making fun of them now. I think it's a little overstated, but whatever. Handouts. Now, most of the time, if I've got a handout for you, I'm going to hand it out to you. I'm not going to put it on Blackboard. Okay? PowerPoint shows. Now, this is what I was going to say before, and I stopped and said, well, I'll say it now. One disadvantage for this book, and I'll have to see if there is a new 8th edition, but there is no PowerPoint that comes with the book. So everything we do, I have to put on the screen. And it's not going to be in nice, pretty PowerPoint form. It's going to be in my ugly handwriting. But that's the advantage of doing this, because you will have that. So it won't be PowerPoint, but it will be, the class will be on YouTube videos at some point, and you can go back and review that. So no PowerPoint shows. Activities. Now sometimes the college puts activities out there, so check Blackboard for that. Assignments, I'm going to put one out there for certain, and that's going to be the research paper. There is a research paper for this class, and I'll talk about that next, but that assignment will be there. It's not there now because the other class is going to make. Announcements. And again, it's usually the college that comes up with these announcements, and so check for that. If something is coming up, like for instance, what day my appointment is, I'll put that as an announcement if I find out it is next Tuesday rather than the 5th, like they have printed on the piece of paper there, then I'll put that out to you. There will be no class next Tuesday. So when something like that comes up, I'll put an announcement. Grades will be on Blackboard as well, but if this makes and this makes, my total number of office hours will be probably less than 2 hours for the whole week, okay? Because 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. That's all I got, folks. Unless that physics class doesn't make, or this class doesn't make, which we're hoping this will make. Okay. So I'll get the grades done whenever I can. I'll get them graded as soon as I can, but then getting them on Blackboard takes another step or two to do that. I do not like this next sentence. Failure to use Blackboard could severely damage your ability to pass the course. It's such a negative sentence, but they don't let me change this. If I were writing this and wanted to put that concept in there, to say the proper use of Blackboard could greatly enhance your ability to do well in the course. To me, that's more accurate, not as negative. Now, they also don't let me change this one. See, the schedule book, inside cover, there are no schedule books. We haven't had them in years, okay? But they left this in there and say you can't change this paragraph. Okay, to determine when you can attend training. If you have a question about Blackboard, all of you familiar with Blackboard? Okay. If you have any questions, ask one of them. No, I mean, you can ask me too. Students should always, I don't like this one either, should always check Blackboard announcement page prior to coming to class. Why? What do you reckon that sentence is in there? To me, the only thing I can think of is comma, in case your instructor has canceled class on you. Why else would you have to check before you come to class to see if class is canceled? I'll tell you now, I'm not going to cancel classes just willy-nilly. Now, when I have a doctor's appointment, I'm going to try to let you know as soon ahead of time as possible, okay? I don't know now because they left a message on the machine not saying what day it was, and yet the printed copy says it's next Tuesday, not this coming Tuesday. So I don't know. I'll let you know that one. But generally, I don't just cancel classes for no reasons. If I know it's going to come up with it. Now, if I get severely ill in the morning of a class, I'm probably not going to say, oh, let me run to my computer and send things. If I'm that ill, I'm probably not going to do that. If I'm well enough to get to the computer, I'm probably going to be well enough to get to class and I'll come. But anyway, I don't like that sentence anyway. Never mind. Okay, course, student learning outcomes. Students will solve systems of linear equations and matrices. First thing we do. We will apply the properties of determinants to help. Let me go and get with the book on this one, because this, like I said, this is the best book I found to match the course description. Okay? And you'll see, if you go back to the course description, I can't show it all on one page here, but you'll see this. Students will solve systems of linear equations and matrices. That's chapter 1 and chapter 2. So 1 and 2 go together. Okay? I can't remember. Yeah. Let me scroll down a little bit so you can see the whole table here. Okay. That's chapters 1 and 2. Okay? Students will apply the properties of determinants into the solution of matrices. Chapter 3, determinants. Students will work with vector spaces, identifying their basis and dimension. That's chapter 4. 4.5 is basis and dimension. Okay? Students will work with inner product spaces. That's chapter 5. Students will perform linear transformations and represent them with matrices. That's chapter 6. Students will work with eigenvalues and eigenvectors and diagonalize symmetric matrices. That's chapter 7. Okay? And students will research and write on the topic in linear algebra. Okay, that's your research paper. So you notice there, how could you find the book that the things that are in the course description break down to 7 consecutive chapters? 7 chapters in 10 weeks? That's humping it, folks. And I'm not sure we're going to be able to cover all that. So some of these last things we may not get to do much more than just talk about. So we're going to get the foundational part down. The rest of it follows pretty quickly. Okay? So if you need to, you can pick up that on your own. Okay? So, and then the overall competency will be the final examination. But in reality, I usually put comprehensive final exam. As it turned out now, usually it's that last chapter test is going to be your final test. And that's going to pull in from everything we did before. So it's sort of like it's comprehensive, but it's not going to go back and test stuff from all the chapters. So that's what we're going to do. How am I going to assess you on that or evaluate you on that? That's what your evaluation and assessment is. A research paper is required for the course. Notice the verb is required, not optional. Okay? It will count as a test score that cannot be dropped. If I've made it droppable, then I want to do it. Okay? And some of our accrediting agencies and other things like to see samples of student writing, especially in things other than English classes and things like this. So they encourage writing across the curriculum. So that's why I require you to do one. Now, it's a pretty simple one. We'll talk about that later. A unit test will be given after each unit. It's usually after each chapter. It's just the first 2 chapters are given as 1 unit. The lowest unit test score may be dropped. Okay? Now, the reason I put the verb may in there, if you either don't turn in the paper and get a 0 on it because it can't be dropped, or you do a really lousy job, which I don't think any of you would do, and you get a low score and your test scores are going to pull up your paper, I only drop it if it helps your average. Okay? If it hurts your average to drop it, I'll leave it in there. The final exam cannot be dropped, and remember that's your last chapter's test. Probably will be the final exam, and it will count as a test for it, single test for it. Each assessment will be graded on a 100-point scale, and then your average will be 90s or A's, 80s or B's, 70s or C's, and don't know down here at all. Okay, don't. Okay. Now, I do want to ask you this before I go on. Do you prefer in-class test or take-home test? Any preference? No preference at all? Take-home. Wow, I'm shocked. Okay, I just can't believe it. Okay, actually, I prefer those as well, especially for small upper-level classes like this, because to really give you a good test on some of the stuff we're doing, and once you see matrices can take a long time to do one problem, and I don't want time to be the issue. And to guarantee that wouldn't be, you have to make it so simple for a 1 hour, 2 hour test. I mean, an hour and 50 minutes, take the whole class period. We've only got, 10 weeks. That's all. So I don't want to take too much class time. So I prefer the, I'm glad y'all chose to do take-home test. Okay. So let's move on with this. Students are expected to attend all the classes for which they were registered, and hopefully I will have the other class out of here so you can come in at 10 o'clock. Students who are unable to attend classes regularly, regardless of the reason or circumstances, should consider withdrawing before your poor attendance, makes you have. See, if you go down here to the D and F level, which I don't think any of you would think about doing, but if you don't come to class and can't, don't turn in tests, you wind up with a D or an F. Y'all are all transient students. I don't think your home school is going to take a D. I know they won't take an F, right? So why do that? Go on and consider withdrawing. I don't think any of you will be in that boat, but the student who was just taking a test today, she asked me, she first, when she came by in the middle of my first class, and said, I need to talk with you about clearing my incomplete. And so when I talked with her later, she's way behind. And she said they won't let me register until I clear the incomplete. I couldn't understand that either, but then she found out better information. She can't register for the next level of math until she finishes the incomplete in that. And she said, should I withdraw? What should I do? Well, it's too late to withdraw. The term's over with. So she's going to take it. But I said, in order to register for Math 100 this term, you've got to clear the incomplete today. And that's taking several tests for her. So don't get in a situation like that. If she knew that, she should have withdrawn before the end of the spring term. She doesn't have that option. So that would be what this is talking about. Because guess what? Even if you're on financial aid of some nature, they will allow you to retake a class one time. Okay? Whether you make a D and have to retake it, or F and have to retake it, or withdraw and have to retake it. They will pay for it one time. 2 times they won't. The second time they won't pay for it again. But again, whether it's a D, F, or withdrawal, it doesn't make any difference. Well, a D is going to hurt your grade point average. F is going to really hurt your grade point average. The withdrawal does not hurt your grade point average at all. It doesn't count against you. So, to my mind, none of this makes any sense. If you look like you're going to wind up with a D or an F, you should withdraw. And notice the date for the last date to withdraw. Do that. But they say, see your advisor, see financial aid. But guess what? If you go make a D or an F, it's going to be just as bad. Yes, ma'am. Hey.
So I apologize for interrupting. When you finish class, come see me.
Okay, I've only got 10 minutes between this class and the next class. So you're going to be downstairs?
Your other class.
I'm sorry?
What time do you get out of your other class? Your last class.
It's a physics with lab, and so that goes till about, let's see, I have it written down here somewhere. 5:30, and then the next class is 6 to 9:30.
Okay, I'm going to take those 10 minutes, so what's a good time to come back up?
Okay, at 11:50.
Okay, I'll be here.
Okay, or I can go down there either one. 11:50. Right. Okay.
Sorry.
That's the dean. Okay. So looks like you're going to wind up with D or an F, go on and withdraw. If you got time enough to do so, do it. Okay, I don't think any of you will be in that boat, but I don't like to just say it as if that's the only option you have. Okay, now, it says here about makeup work, and again, this is a little not. Look, I'm making the research paper assignment today. You have all term to do it, okay? There's not really much makeup there. Your tasks, try to get them done within a week. If you need more time, you can have more time. But don't have the first test still being out and I'm passing out the second test. Get it done before we're through with the next chapter. So that's what got that gal in trouble, before, Just don't go there, okay? And everything's going to be take home. So your research paper can't be dropped. I will drop your chapter test, lowest chapter test, if it helps your grade, except for the final exam, and that can't be dropped. We'll try to begin all classes if I can get the other class out of here, okay, in time. If I shut my mouth and quit talking at 9:50 when I'm supposed to, we will start at 10 o'clock every time, except if, like, whenever I've got the doctor's appointment, we won't have that class at all. Try to get here on time, but, I do record everything so you can catch anything you may miss, okay? Statement of discrimination and harassment. Let me just sort of summarize this. We don't tolerate it. We don't condone it. We don't want it to happen on this or any campus we have. We just don't want it to happen, period. And I've been here, this is the end of my 21st year, I believe, starting in the fall of my 22nd year, teaching almost in this room every time, and I have seen practically none that would qualify here. I've heard about a couple of things, and it wasn't really discrimination or harassment, just stupidity, I thought. Heard about, we have some programs here, career technical type programs, that kids come just because parents are making them come to college, I think. And they really have no interest in being here. And there was one case of a kid like this, and this is in 20 plus years, I've only seen one. This guy at lunch decided to walk on people's cars out in the parking lot. I don't know why he thought that would be a cool thing to do. Someone saw him, jerked him off in the dean's office, not listening to the previous, and he was off campus, never to be seen again. So I don't know if that was discrimination or harassment. It was stupidity in my part. But I mean, we give people due process, all that kind of stuff, but we don't want any of that happening here. Discrimination or harassment. I count bullying in this. I don't want it to happen. But the thing is, like I said, I haven't seen it. Well, most of the time, they're not going to do it in front of me. Okay, I'm too big, mean, and ugly looking, so they're not going to do it. But you might see or sense or even get a wind of something. If you do, please let us know, because we don't want it happening here. So that's one thing I'm going to ask. Please let us know if you see or sense anything, even if it involves us, the members of the college, the employees of the college, even me as your instructor. You think I'm doing, I'll help you write me up. You can go to my boss, and do it. We take such charges seriously. Now, this isn't quite the same, but it follows along the same type path, the Americans with Disabilities. Now, as you've already noticed, I sometimes ask people to repeat things. The reason is I'm hard of hearing. I mean, I'm old, I'm decrepit, so I have sort of a sensitivity to this. Federal law requires that we try to accommodate people as much as possible. So if you or anyone else who may be adding to the class has any kind of thing, a physical thing like hearing, vision, there's all those letters A, D, or whatever all those letters are, dyslexia, whatever it is, please bring the documentation to campus. We have two real good professionals. Dr. Renee Herman is on this campus in this building She's in charge of the Office of Disability Services. Here's her phone number. You can reach her or leave a voicemail message for her. Mrs. Janine McCoy Jones over on the Birmingham campus. There's her number, and the locations are here. Let them know. You can bring stuff to me. I'm going to just take it to Dr. Hartman, okay? Because she's the professional at it. She knows what to do with it. She may ask for additional documentation, whatever, to get it done. The Vestment campus is on this building, a building down on the first floor. The new student services wing that's sort of toward the cafeteria type area. And you can also go to the information desk, which is, this building has two fronts, okay? Students usually drive around to what I consider the back of the building and come in those big glass doors. They call that the front of the building. I call the front of the building that faces the Western Superhighway here, but there's no main entrance there. You drive around back to that. So whatever you consider, go around to the main entrance, okay, back side of the building. When you walk in those glass double doors there, triple doors or whatever they are, that's the information desk. Ask there, she's right around the corner. On the Birmingham campus, it's in the Leon Kennedy building, which is also sometimes called our student union type building. And that's up on the second floor. The first floor is police and cafeteria. Second floor has a variety of things in it. The bookstore's up there, also the Space Center. And Miss McCoy Jones is there. Okay. Now this next is the course calendar. This obviously is not this course calendar. This is last fall's calendar. But the same things that you'll see listed here, I'll just get the dates corrected. But you can go to the Lawson State webpage, and at the top of the webpage is a series of blue tabs, and one of those says Academic Calendar. I was trying to remember the exact name of it. Academic Calendar. Click on that. You'll see it's on a calendar. Then I'll condense it to a table like this. Okay, if the class is going to make it, we'll see. That may be what the dean's wanting to talk with you about, is whether it's going to make or not. All right, and then finally, if it does make, then there's this student acknowledgement form. And if it does make, and we do, and I get all these corrections made, I'll put it on Blackboard, and then you can either print this page and sign your name and date it and turn it in to me, or you can type it in here and email it to me. It says do it electronically, you do it whichever way you prefer. Any questions right now without the times and dates that are going to change? Any questions about the syllabus? Okay. Then I will end this, and we will go to the research paper. Okay. Now this is only if the class makes, of course. General instruction, you get to choose your topic. Any topic within the scope of the course. Anything that has remotely anything to do with linear algebra, which that covers a lot of ground. And we'll see in just about every section they're going to have some application that you probably wouldn't have even guessed was linear algebra. I mentioned that I was on the plane all day yesterday. Plane schedules are done through linear algebra, through matrices, okay? The pilot and the cruise for the plane is done through matrices, okay? And if you think about those airlines that are flying thousands of flights and how many crews, you know, and schedules and stuff like this, that's huge matrices, okay? That's all done by that. Any of you ever use a Google search? Anyone not uses Google search? That's done by matrices. That's done by linear algebra. I mean, I bet you basketball, football schedules that you are usually done by linear algebra. That's the typical way to do it, okay? I bet you the DNA sequence, you know, the human genome or any genome, I bet you're set up in a matrix. It's the logical way to do it. So, scope of this course, it covers a lot of ground. Now, you can write on a person. We're going to mention several people. The Gauss-Jordan method of solving the matrix, okay? Or linear system of linear equation. There's Gauss, there's Jordan, okay? We're going to talk about several other people. So you can choose a person, any person that has anything to do Theory, there's a bunch of those too. If you find those interesting, you can write on that. A phenomenon, now I've already mentioned several, scheduling, that kind of thing. You can write on that. Applications, I really like this. If you have, I don't know, are most of you engineers? Okay. Any other major than engineering? Okay. I bet you every engineering discipline does something using linear algebra. I mean, it can be mundane things or it can be fairly complicated things. So if you have other things that you're just interested in, like stamp collecting perhaps, or something like that, I bet you there's applications that you can find for that. Any other such topic about which you have an interest, whether it's your major or not, if it has any relationship to linear algebra, that could be your paper topic. Now, I've added this recently in the last couple of years. It can be an internet application or demonstration which you find useful for the class. And I'm thinking in terms of things like YouTubes. I've had some students that have written papers on, I didn't understand what the book was talking about here, and without saying it quite this badly, or anything that the instructor said about this, but when I went, I found this on YouTube, and this blah, 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 and now it's all perfectly clear. Now that's a real simplistic thing, but if you did find something like that, or find some application that makes you find useful to the class, say, oh, that's what they're talking about, or that's how you do this, if you want to write on that. You still have to write it, but what I'd like to ask you to do is write your name and the topic that you are thinking about right now or next Tuesday or Thursday, whenever we have class next, sometime next week. Give me on a piece of paper your name and your paper topic. This has nothing to do with the paper, what I'm going to say next. Since you only got two things on that piece of paper, here's something else you can give me if you want to give it to me. But it's completely up to you. It's not required, but you can do it. And here's the background. Sometimes I'll be teaching a class and someone will come running in like the dean just did. Not usually her, but someone will come in and say, "This is so in your class, do you have a good phone number for them? The one in the system, I can't get in touch with them." And it's only going to be if it's someone here at the college, not another student. You have someone here at the college. And so if you want to give me your very best phone number, now it could be a cell number. I'm guessing for most of you it would be. But you see, sometimes you may have already given that to, but sometimes people, when they're typing things in, have a whole bunch of them, they may transpose a digit or two. And then it's not working. So if you want to give me your very best phone number, you can. Now, if there's a chance that that cell phone could get battery die, something quits working on it, gets run over by a truck, you leave it at home, like I almost did today. I had it charging, I almost forgot to take off the charge, put it in my pocket. Something like that happened. You leave it in the car, you leave it in your backpack or something. If there is a good backup number, that if your cell number, we can't reach you on that, you want to give me that one, you can give me that one. You can give me no number, that's okay too, okay? Or your cell number or a good backup, like mama's landline or whatever, Or, if you work, and we have a lot of students who do work, like they do classes Tuesday, Thursday, and work Monday, Wednesday, okay? If you're going to be at work and they don't want you using your cell number, your cell phone, but they will allow you to have incoming calls, especially if it's somewhat of an emergency type thing. If you want to give me that number, you can. I don't need any. You can give me 1, 2, or 3, or none. But if you want to give me some, you can. Since you're using a piece of paper anyway, write your name and paper topic. Okay, then you can always change the paper topic. If once you get looking into it, you find you want to narrow it down or broaden it or change it completely, you can do that. I want you to do that. Get started thinking about it now. You will need to find at least one, but 2 or more are better outside sources for your paper. Like I say, they're going to have little blurbs in here about Carl Friedrich Gauss and about Jordan and about several other people. This can't be your source. This can't be the outside source. You need to have something outside the book. So that can be any book, journal, article, newspaper, magazine, any material that you can find in the library. And here, be careful here, any legitimate source, underline that, legitimate source found on the internet. I would have to say, in my lifetime, if I had to pick something that was the most impressive thing that's been developed during my lifetime, it would have to be the internet. I don't think it existed in 1951. That's how old I am. And it's all come out in my lifetime. There's two big problems with it, though. Maybe more than two, but two. One, at least half of the stuff out there is total garbage. Okay? Second is sometimes you don't know which half it is. So be very careful when you're dealing with the internet. I know some courses don't even allow you to use it. I don't mind you using it if it's a good source. So if you want to run it by me first, yeah, we'll look at it and say, nah, I'm not sure about that, and see if you can find something better. Oh, no, that's great. You can use that. Okay. The textbook is not an outside source. Now, I don't want this doesn't have to be a 5-paragraph essay or a minor dissertation or anything like this. Your paper must be at least one word process page of text, double spaced, in a standard font, 12 pitch or 12 point, whatever you call it. Now, what do I mean by one page of text, word process page of text? Well, if you choose to use a header, a format that has some sort of header at the top and stuff, that's fine, you can choose that. You skip a few spaces, you have your title, you triple space, and then you start typing here. One page of text is going to go from here to the bottom of that page, and then on the next piece of paper, come down at least that far. That's going to be a page of text. So it's always going to be at least two pieces of paper. That doesn't mean one page, one piece of paper, one page of text, at least that. Okay, double space, this is single space, so you can double space, it still counts as one page of text. And 12 pitch and 12 point, I don't want it tiny that I can't read. Straining my eyes really bugs me, okay? Nor do I want 26 point and 3 words fill up a page. That's not going to work either. So keep it, very standard. The font you use is up to you as long as I can read it. I don't read hieroglyphics or Cyrillic or Hebrew or Greek or Old English or any of that kind of stuff. Keep it something readable. This is Arial. Times New Roman is just about every word process is default. Courier. I don't care. There's tons of good readable text, but pick one. Okay. Try to keep the paper less than 2 pages. Okay. At least one full page. You'll get counted off if it's too short. You don't get points deducted for it being too long. But I just don't want it to be a big onerous to do. I want you to just pick something, write it up, turn it in. Fairly concise. Okay? Now, if you get really fired up about it and it takes you 3 or 4 pages, fine. I want you to be fired up about it. Okay? But it doesn't have to be that long. But let me also give you this. It's only happened a few times in all the years I've done this. But I've had a few people who decided, well, I can't do very good quality work, so I'll give them a lot of quantity and impress them. It doesn't, okay? I've had some people turn in multiple page papers that were just really lousy papers, okay? And let me tell you up front how I grade these. When you turn it in to me, it's a 100-point paper. And then if I start reading it and finding errors or problems with it, you start losing points. So guess what? A really long, really poorly written paper is going to lose lots and lots of points. You're much better off a shorter, well done, carefully written paper. Now, if it's a well done, carefully written 5 or 6 page paper, I'm going to enjoy reading that, and it's not going to cost you anything. But if you're trying to substitute quantity for quality, it's not going to work. In fact, it's actually going to hurt. Okay? So, no penalty if it's longer than 2 pages. I just give you that as a target. You can use any standard format you want. Most English classes teach MLA, Modern Language Association. A lot of sciences and other organizations use American Psychological Association. They came out early on with a really neat format. Lots of other people said, why reinvent the wheel? This is good stuff. But then I know I'm a member of several professional organizations that each have their own format, So you may be, if you've already started doing research type things and have a format that either your discipline likes or required, and you want to use that, fine. I don't care. Just be consistent. For instance, if you start blocking paragraphs like I did, block all your paragraphs. I don't know how many times I've had people block the first couple, then indent, or indent this one, and indent the next one here, and then block the next. I mean, that's just not being consistent. So be consistent. Here's another one that does come up occasionally, and I think I know what's happening. Say you have 2 or 3 different sources you're quoting, and say they're all from the same type, because different types of documents have different types of formats that you use, but let's say they're the same. Say a journal article, and you got 2 or 3 journal articles, and someone referred to something in the first paragraph, say, and they open parentheses, put the last name of the author, comma, year of publication, close it off. Okay? I've seen them like that. And then down here somewhere, they make another reference to a different article, but they open parentheses, type in the name of the article, comma, year of publication, and close it out. And it's the same type of thing, but different formats. I think I know what happened. They looked at the format this one used, and then the format like that here, and then this one was a different article, maybe using a different format, and they use that format name. No. You choose your format, and then get them all the same. Okay? No matter what the source you're using uses, that's beside the point. You pick your format and give me be consistent within that format. Okay, spelling, grammar, sentence structure, all those things that English teachers like to take off for, those will cost you points too. Probably not as many as English teachers do, but they do. But the point is, every word processing package that I've seen lately has spell check, and I think every one of them has grammar check in it. Use them. There's no reason not to, okay? And also use good proofreading. We won't go into that. Hopefully you know that. But it's not just this that loses you points. Content also. I'll give you a couple of dumb examples, but and they won't be appropriate probably for this course. I've had lots of papers on Isaac Newton. I think I know his whole life now, but yeah, whatever. Let's just use Isaac Newton. And someone, for instance, they just chose to give, when they first mentioned his name, they put parentheses, year of his birth, comma, year of his death. And they go on and write about himself. And then somewhere on page 2 over here, they had he died in a different year than that one. It may have been a long, boring paper, but it wasn't that long. Okay, no, be consistent, when you do things. I've also had, and this wouldn't be appropriate for this class either, but people write on Pythagorean theorem. I think I've heard that many times. That's fine, except they stated it wrong. They just didn't get it right or made reference, and not just that and others. I usually will pick up on that kind of stuff as well. So be careful with your content. Consistency matters. The paper is due by the last day of class. That's not the last day of finals, the last day that we're in class together as a class. Okay? Before final examination start. Now in summer term we don't have a week. Fall and spring we do, and this is the last time we used this was in the spring, so that's why I have a week before final exams. But I highly recommend you start working on. That's why I want you to give me a title soon, so you can start thinking about it soon. The sooner you get it done, believe it or not, you never will have more time to work on it than you do right now. Because once they get to be tests, these long, big old take-home tests, I don't know how many classes you're taking here. It sounds like you're taking at least 2 more here. Labs, other things. Yeah, there could be lots of things coming up. This is the time to get going on it. Okay? Here's the stick. You will lose points if the paper is submitted after the last day of class. Okay? I will accept it because I don't want you to get a 0. I will accept it, but you'll lose points for being late. Here's the carrot, though. If you submit the paper in the month of May, now you don't have much time in May, but if you get it in the month of May, you'll receive 3 bonus points. In the month of June, 2 bonus points. In the month of July, before the last week of class, whatever the last week of class is, the last Tuesday, Thursday of class, submit it then, you just get your score. Before that, in July, you'll get 1 bonus point. Okay? So there's the carrot to go with the stick. Okay? Any questions on that? Now, one more thing. This is something most instructors I don't think require, but I do require. When you submit your paper, please attach a single page from one of your sources. Remember, you have to have at least one source outside the book, and 2 or more are better. So pick a source, any source, and print me 1 page from that source. Take it to the copier and copy it if it's in the library. print me a page if it's something off the internet. I only need one page from one source, and submit that with your paper. Any questions? There again is my email address, my phone number, and the office here. My office here, and I haven't mentioned that before, is at A265, and on the Birmingham campus is the academic building, which is building B122. Is the number. Okay. All right, I'm going to leave that up for now. Now, this is not this term, but this is last summer, but the courses are a lot similar. Okay? This is basically showing my office hours again, but this is showing it in a matrix, you might say. All right? I'm usually in the office all 5 mornings when we have Friday classes, open on Friday, 7:45 or earlier. Like this morning, I was here 7:15. Most of the times I won't be here that early, but usually try to get here before 7:45. Now, if there's major traffic problems or something, or a doctor's appointment or something, I may not be here, but most of the time by 7:45. Okay, but I have 8 o'clocks across the board, just like it's shown here, not on Friday, but Monday through Thursday. And it's 1:25 from 8 to 11:40. Then I'll try to eat the first little bit of lunch that I can in that, in that 20 minutes I have there. And then this is Cal 1, Cal 2, 11 to 1:40. And that's there. And then I'll eat a little more lunch in that 20 minutes I have. Then from 2 o'clock, now this is the one that right now, and this is, we flip-flop these every summer, is 201 and 202 up here and 201 down here. The 202 right now doesn't have 10 students, so I may be losing that course. So if I do lose it, then from 2 o'clock, actually from 1:40 until 5:30, I'll have office hours. That will be my 2 biggest chunks on Monday and Wednesday of office hours if I lose that one. But the 201 course has got enough students in it, so I'll be here from 5:30 until 9. I don't think this is right. It's 5:30. Let me see if this is right. 2 to 3:50. That's right. 4 to 5:30. That's right. This one starts at 5:30, goes to 7:20, and then 7:30 to 9. So 9 o'clock is when I'll be here. I'm off campus at 9:15. Okay, that's Tuesday and Thursday. This class has made. Now, Monday, Wednesday. The Tuesday, Thursday, sort of similar to this time, the Math 238 did make, and it probably was because we had a Lawson graduating student in it that absolutely needed it to start at her next school, his or her next school, in the fall. So we did the 238, but the 237 didn't make last time, so I had office advising from 10 to 11:50. But then at 12 o'clock I have physical science, that goes class, then lab, and I'm through at 3:30, and then I don't know if I'll be off campus that early or not. No, I will not be, because at 4 o'clock I have a physics class that goes until 5:30. So I know I'll be here from 5:30 on Tuesday, Thursday, until 9 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday. So they're going to be long days. My Fridays, when I have them, are not going to be very long, okay? No longer than 10:45. This Friday I'll be here long, okay, but not from now on. All right, any questions on my schedule? Okay, I'll leave that for next class as well. Any questions on anything about how we do the course? Well, like I said, there is no PowerPoint. I could have deleted that too. So I'm going to have to do right in. This is actually PowerPoint, but there's nothing on there. I'm just using PowerPoint, so I'll have something to store at the end. So no questions? All right. Let's get started then in chapter 1. Do y'all need to take a little break first, or are you okay to roll? Okay. We don't have much longer, but we have a little bit. All right, let's start with systems of linear equations. You probably have already had this in some earlier math course, systems of equations. So I'm not going to go over that except to remind you of a few things. When you have a system of equations, you certainly have to have a number of variables. Single variable equation, you can solve it with one equation. But when you have two or more variables, you need two or more equations to solve that system of equations, right? Now, when you have two or more variables, let's just go with the simple two-variable case. xy in this equation, xy in this equation, okay? 3x plus 4y is equal to 12. 5x minus 6y is equal to 25. Something like that. Two equations, two unknowns. What would be the possibilities of solutions for those two equations and those two unknowns? What would be possibilities? Well, two variables in a single equation is basically going to describe a straight line. Okay? It could be a horizontal line that we only have one variable with one equation, a vertical line, one variable, one equation. Most of the time, some line that's at some different slope, right? Now, I'm talking about first order equations too. The variables are all to the first power. No fractional powers, no multiple powers like 2, 3, or 4. Only one is the only acceptable coefficient, right? So that's going to be a linear equation. That's going to graph as a straight line. Okay, you have two straight lines, two equations, two straight lines. What are the possibilities? One and only one point of intersection. That's one possibility. Another, two parallel lines, no points of intersection. We call that no solutions. So this other has one unique solution. This has no solutions. The other possibility, here's your first equation, there's your second equation. Infinite number of solutions. Right? Three possibilities. One unique solution, no solutions, or an infinite number of solutions. Now you go to higher number of variables, three variables, then you have a line in space. Okay? And you have three lines in space. They could all three cross at one point. They could, two of them cross here, two of them cross here, but none, then there's no solutions, or they all are in a plane and have one line in the plane in common, infinite number of solutions. So no matter how many dimensions you have of variables or equations, you're always going to have one solution, one unique solution, no solutions, or infinite number of solutions. Always going to be the case for linear equations. Okay? You hopefully have had that before. So what do we mean by solution to a system of linear equations? You have two equations and two unknowns. That's going to be an ordered pair. Three equations, three unknowns, an ordered triplet. Five equations, five unknowns, an ordered quintuple. Okay, five tuple. Okay, five things. Okay, that's what we mean by a solution. It can have no solutions. It can have an infinite number of solutions. Now, if it has more than one solution, we usually call that a solution set, or a single solution would be one number, or you can have no solutions. Now, what if you have two variables with only one equation? Here's an example, rather than name them differently. And this is one I'm not sure you would have had in another course, but so I'll do this one. x1 plus 2x2 is equal to 4. Two unknowns, so you got to have ordered pairs as your solution. But how many you got here? Give me a solution for that.
Solve for x2 with respect to x1.
Second?
Solve for x2 with respect to x1.
Okay. So you're saying solve for x2 with respect to x1. So then you would probably subtract x1 from both sides, right? Is that what you meant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that would give you 2x2 is equal to 4 minus x1. And then next step, divide by 2, everything by 2. So that gives you x2 is equal to 2 minus 1/2 x1, right? Certainly works. Now, give me a solution for that. Plug in any value you want for x1. Give me a value.
x1 is
Equal 4. 1/2 of 4 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. So x2 so when x1 is 4, x2 is 0. Well, you could have seen that up here too. Just plug x2 equals 0, x1 equals 4. Yeah. So you can either solve for or plug in or whatever, but you have an infinite number of solutions. Okay? Now, quite often with something like this, we'll get rid of the x1 because you solve for that and name that something, and their favorite is t. Let x1 equal t. And then you have x2, then x2 is equal to 2 minus 1/2 t, or 2 minus t over 2. And just plug in any t you want to. And that'll be your x1, and plug it into the second, and that's your x2. So anytime you have more unknowns than you have number of equations, you're going to have this infinite case. Every time. Well, I guess it could be sometimes you know there's going to be no solutions. If you got that, then there's no solutions. But anytime there's at least one, you're going to have an infinite number of solutions. Okay. That was one I wasn't sure you had seen before. So what you do, you call one parameter the free parameter and the other one the dependent parameter. The way you did it, your free parameter was x1 and your dependent one was x2. You could have just subtracted 2x from both sides, 2x2 from both sides, had x1 equal 4 minus 2x2, then your x2 would have been the free parameter, x1 the independent. So, or yeah, dependent one. Okay. So you call this the t a parameter. And you call this a parametric equation. You run into that probably in calculus, but if not calculus, you ran into it in Cal 3, I'm sure. Yeah, parametric equations. Okay. So, have y'all done things like this before in terms of linear equations and stuff? Or is this new? Done before? Been there, done that, bought a t-shirt, right? Okay. Then we'll move on. I was going to do another. Would it be helpful to do another? Let's just try it. Okay. 3x plus 2y plus minus z is equal to 3. And by the way, before y'all start wondering what in the world I'm doing, I was in the Navy, and when you're doing the logs in the Navy, they're very specific about it. They have to be handwritten. And a couple things I got into the habit of doing and have never broken. A 0, I always slash. An O, I do not slash. So it's sort of like computer programming. Sometimes it's a dot in the middle of a 0 there. A Z, I slash, so it doesn't look like a 2. Okay? So Z's are slashed, 2's are not. And 7's are slashed, and 1's are not. Well, sometimes you put a little hat on the, and some people do that. The British are especially bad about putting a little serif on the 1. If you make it too long, it looks like a 7. So I always slash my 7. So just to keep you from getting confused. What is he doing there? That's what I'm doing. Okay. what would you tell me about this? How many free variables, how many dependent variables? Up there, what do we have? One free, one dependent. What we got here? Two free, one dependent. I would make, this is just me, the z the dependent. No coefficients, no fractions. Okay? So, solve for z, and that would give you 3x plus 2y minus 3 is equal to z. What I did was add z to both sides, subtract 3 from both sides. So then, as I said, most of the book's favorite parameter happens to be t, but then the next favorite happens to be s, so they move backward in the alphabet. So I would do this as z is equal to 3s plus 2t minus 3, where x is equal to s, y is equal to t, and then z is equal to that. So these are your frees, and this is your dependent. I don't know if dependent is the right word, but we'll use that a lot. Okay? So that's how you do it if you have more than one. Make sense? Okay. We will run into circumstances like this when we're solving matrices. That's why I wanted you to be familiar with this. Though I guess probably already were. So pick me a, since they're free, you can pick me an S and a T. What would that give you? Give me an S. Feel like a cheerleader here. Give me an S. 1, is that what you said? Give me a T. 2, okay? Then Z would be 3 plus 4, 7 minus 3 is 4. So what do you say? 1, 2, 3. That was one word there. I'm really lazy. I would have said 0, 0, and then I would have had 0, 0, negative 3. I'm really lazy, okay? But you can choose any ones, and they can be the same, different, whatever. You get an infinite number of possibilities to solve that equation. Okay. Now, I hope you've already solved systems of equations before, right? No, everybody's done 2 by 2s, right? They're pretty easy. You did those way back early on. But you can go up to n by m's, okay? So let me give you what their I don't know what the best way to call this, their standard way of writing this. System of m linear equations in n variables. Here is the standard. Every variable may or may not have a coefficient, okay? That always has a coefficient. Sometimes it's a 1 or a 0 or something other than 1 or 0, okay? So how we usually do this is a11 x1 plus a12 x2 plus a13 x3 plus ... plus a1, and what do they, okay, that's the n. Sometimes they'll label in one way, sometimes another. X sub n is equal to b1. Okay? That's the first equation of our m equations in n unknowns. The next one would be a, guess what? How would we subscript that one? 2, 1. The first is which equation, the second is which variable. Okay? The subscripts, that's what they stand for. So it's the second equation, first variable. So that would be x1 plus, help me. This is just subscripting. That's all you're doing. would be the next variable subscript? Coefficient subscript. A22, second equation, second variable. Second variable is x sub 2 plus A23 x sub 3 plus dot 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 plus A 2n x sub n is equal to B2. Okay? Give me this subscript. Second, 3, 1, x sub 1 plus A32 x sub 2 plus 3 x sub 3 plus dot 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 plus 3n x sub n is equal to B3. And then we'll do a dot 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 here, a dot 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 there, a dot 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 everywhere, a dot dot dot, and a dot dot dot, and everywhere dot dot dots and dot dot dots. Whoa, too many. Okay. And your last one, remember we said we have m equations, so what would that be? A sub m1 x1 plus m2 x sub 2 plus m3 x sub 3 plus a dot 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 plus m n x sub n is equal to B m. Right. Okay. Not in the medical sense. Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. I'm sorry?
So I changed my major back to engineer.
Okay. What did you change from?
Computer science.
Oh, you changed from engineering to computer science back to?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want any particular engineering?
Electrical, I guess.
Okay, electrical. Of course, it's going to be pre that.
Yes.
Okay. What's the day? The 24th?
24.
Okay. Okay. Be sure you date it and fill out that survey and turn it in.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Normally I wouldn't do that in class. I'd say come back in a few minutes, but I have to see the dean in a few minutes. So I can't read that. Okay, that is how we'd write, and you pick any number of equations, any number of variables, and this forms your system of equations. Now, if you recall how you did 2 by 2s, they were always pretty easy. You usually did it by elimination by addition, right? Is that what you call it? You could have done substitution, you could have done graphing, but most of the time you do it by something like that. When you have anything bigger, even a 3 by 3, 3 equations, 3 unknowns, that gets a lot more complicated. And when you get bigger than that, almost impossible to do them by the old elimination by addition unless you get some sort of pattern going. And that pattern can actually be done how we would do this. We start, I don't know if you realize it, you start by basically getting just a single number here. Our favor is 1, okay, in this first equation, okay? Now remember, the order of variables doesn't really matter, but if you change them, you got to change everybody's. So we usually don't do that. Order of equations doesn't matter at all. If you're trying to solve the system, it doesn't matter which one you do. So you can move those around with no problem at all. Okay? But what we like to have is get just a single variable coefficient here, best if it's a 1. And then, by doing the same, certain operations on these, if we can get zeros here, then at the end, you have some equation that looks a lot like the other one. You might have several variables here, but with some coefficients, and you can get a parametric equation for them, just like what we were doing before. And then if you do the same thing here, but go to the second one, get a 1 here, and zeros above and below, or at least below, and then whatever you have left, you can have a parametric system equation with that. And you keep doing that if you eliminate, and it's pretty easy to do that, just like whatever your 2 by 2s were, there was a certain thing you can multiply this by and add to that to eliminate that. That's what we're doing. So basically we're going to do the same type of thing, but in a more systematic way. Now I know my description there was just a lot of blah, blah, blah. But just to get it out there, we're going to do the same type of thing that we did with the 2 by 2 elimination by addition, but it's just going to take a lot more effort to do. Okay? Now, bottom of page 4, since none of you have your books, I'm just going to hit this. In a chemical reaction, the atoms reorganize in one or more substances. So, for instance, if you have methane gas, CH4, are any of you chemical engineers? Well, this may not be of that much interest to you, but it could be. Combining with oxygen, so usually when you have that, combining CH4, does anyone know what CH4 is? Methane, okay? And O2 is just oxygen. And how do most things combine with oxygen? Burning, yeah, combustion. Now, it can be slow combustion, which we call rusting or that kind of stuff, or rapid, which would be something like this. When you burn methane, that's a pretty rapid thing. What you get as a result, you know what you get when you burn methane? What are your byproducts? When you burn any, say again? Yes, you get H2O, and you get what's left. Say again? You got to have a C there. You don't have any C's there. When you burn anything, what do you get? Carbon dioxide. Now, if you don't have enough oxygen, you can get carbon monoxide, and that's deadly, okay? But when you're burning methane, you have plenty of oxygen. This is the thing. Well, you remember this in chemistry? You had to balance the equation, right? Well, how would you do that? I don't know if you remember how to do that too well, but I can tell you one thing. You're going to have the same number of methanes as you have carbon dioxide because that's the only place the C shows up, right? And there's the only place H is show up, so you know you're going to have twice as many of these as you do of this, right? So this gives you at least a 2 here, okay? And then you count your oxygens, and you have 2 here and 2 there, so you would have to have 2 of these. So guess what? You have a system of equations. But if you didn't know what you had, you could have x1, x2, x3, x4. And you know that these 2 have to be the same, those 2 have to be the same. You can have 2 equations with 2 unknowns. So, and if you have a whole passel of these, especially if you have, are any of you in materials engineering? Okay. Huh?
I took a class.
You did. That's also called polymers a lot of time, isn't it? Didn't you deal a lot with that? And you can have different ways you can combine these things, and it could get pretty hairy. And soon you'd have something that looked like that. Not just a 2 by 2 or a 4 by 4. Yeah, you would have something else. So this is just another place where linear algebra could be applied and say chemistry or chemical engineering. So let's go to, oh wait, all right. Back up one more time. Remember, yuck. Isn't it time? Is it? Okay, my watch is a little fast. We're going to have to start next time at example 4. Top of page 5. Sorry I didn't get any further, but no more syllabus, no more of that other stuff. And watch your Blackboard and emails to find out if, number one, hopefully not, but the course has been canceled. It's a possibility. And number 2, if my doctor's appointment has been moved to this coming Tuesday rather than the following Tuesday. I've got to find that out, and I was going to do it in the next 10 minutes, but now I've got to go see the dean. You're here for physical science, right? I've got to run see the dean. I'll be back as soon as I can. Don't let anybody leave. Stand at the door and block. Okay, no. All right, I already got a paper topic. Good deal.
No, that's
Oh.
that's from
That's it. Okay, got it. Okay, now I'm not going to do anything with this. You're just saying you're in the process of doing this. Is that right?
No, you had to email A&M and tell them I went to class.
Oh,
Came to
before they're
class
going to Oaks?
before they send the money.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, I'll try to do this now, but I have to. Oh, this is who I.
That's her email. You just got to tell.
Okay, got it. Okay, understood now. Sorry. Hope to see you, those people who were in this class, Tuesday or Thursday, one or the other.